Be waiting until Michelle walks back in. Good evening, everybody. The February 13th, 2024 Liquor Board hearing is now in session. All the hearings of the board are now transcribed and stored electronically. These transcripts, serving as minutes for the hearings, are accessible for review by scheduling an appointment with the Liquor Board. I now make a motion that the transcripts of the previous board hearing held on December 12th of 2023 be accepted as the board's minutes for that date, and ask for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
3-0, accepted. Thank you. Mr. Praley, I'll turn the meeting over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jimmy Praley. I serve as counsel to the board. Before every one of these meetings, I make a couple brief announcements for the record. The first is that the commissioners before you tonight are all part-time public servants. They all have other outside interests. When they know that they have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest, they will recuse themselves, but due to the number of cases that are called at every given hearing and the ability for members of the public to show up and testify, it'd be impossible for every commissioner to know whether or not a conflict exists on every given case. So when your case is called, if you believe that a commissioner or commissioners, as the case may be, has a conflict or a potential appearance of the conflict, you need to make that known to the board, and we will make a determination on that at that time. Otherwise, we will proceed forward with all cases under the supposition that there is no conflict. Second, the rules of this board provide that the chair, for the purposes of administrative and judicial economy, can delegate the ruling of admissibility of evidence and on objections to counsel. This allows us to expedite our hearings, so sometimes if attorneys are present and objections are made, rather than the chair turning to me advising the chair, and consequently the chair making a determination, I will simply rule on the piece of evidence or testimony. My ruling will be that of the board. Finally, the staff is very excited. It is almost renewal season. We get started very, very quickly with that. And as has been the customary policy and practice and procedure of the board and the administration, board's staff is unable to process and issue new licenses or transfers between the last business day in February through the first business day in May. That allows us to go through and process all of our renewals without interruption. So if you have a case here today and you're here on a transfer or a new license and you would like to pick up that license prior to the first business day in May, you need to get your ducks in a row and have everything submitted ASAP. Otherwise, it's going to have to wait until May. Those are all the announcements tonight. So with that, I will turn it over to Chief Inspector Jim Ford, who can call the first case. Chief Inspector Ford, please.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Our first case is actually a request to appear, and for clarity, the licensees were not summoned but are appearing voluntarily. This is for Whitechapel Wines, Inc., Sanjeev Jatain, President Secretary, Anthony Figliozzi, Vice President, Inspector Jason McCarthy. The license is not restricted. This is a request for alterations. It's a Class A beer, wine, liquor tasting and Sunday license located at 2646 Chapel Lake Drive, Gambrills, Maryland, 21054. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward and remain standing if you would, gentlemen. And raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. You may be seated. And if you could, Mr. Jatain, please state your name and address for the record.
Sanjeev Jatain, 8319 Hope Point Road, Millersville, Maryland. Thank you.
Anthony Figliozzi, 3340 Patuxent River Road, Davidsonville, Maryland.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for appearing tonight. We appreciate you showing up without being formally summoned. This is your opportunity to present your case to the board, tell the board about the renovations, and then we'll turn it over to see if there are any questions, okay?
Perfect, thank you. Some time back, like 3 years back, we were planning to expand and there was nothing available. Finally, we got the opportunity and we worked out with the landlords and everything. Currently, we operate at a 6,000 square feet and we are adding 2,500 square feet so that we can bring more, take an example of ready to drink, because ready to drink is a byproduct of pandemics. People are drinking less, people are cutting the portions, and they need the drinks which are ready rather than committing to a big bottle, as an example. Second thing is like the low calories, organic, less sulfite kind of wine. So we are adding space. We need space to add this. First thing is we can bring inventory and add more space. Second, it's going to help us is it's going to give customer a better way of shopping. Like now, 2 customers can use the regular size carts and they can roam around a single aisle.
Also, it's going to be
Yeah.
bigger.
And finally, the surveillance and the security will allow us optimum space to put the cameras. We have last couple of years, we have some incidents, and we are trying our best to work with the county police, and so that we can share videos or the pictures of the bad people on a time. So these are some of the reasons we are expanding, and I would really thanks the board for guiding me through the process. It was a long process, going through the building permits, going through the fire department, changing the fire sprinklers. So I would really thanks board for guiding, actually coaching us throughout the process, starting with Chairman Harris, who was the chief inspector those days, and then Jim. He was always on my toes. You need to put a notice, you need to do this, stuff like this. Finally, we are here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Sorry, one thing I will add. I have already shared all the building plans, all the approved permits. They're already in the file, and also the detailed plans, which were approved by the county. And also the regular size in case someone is interested, like the full blown.
Yes, please. Mr. Jatain, are those for us to keep for the record, or they're for us to maintain or
Yes.
keep? Thank you. As originally noted by the chief, this was a request to appear, and I do thank you and Mr. Figliosi for showing up without being summoned or required to come in. And I think this is more for clarity than anything else, because like you just mentioned, you originally started this project about 3 years ago. And I do remember as chief inspector, I answered a few questions for you. We've also had 2 other inspectors come and go in your area. And I think somewhere, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think somewhere things just slowed down and stopped. And then when they started back up, we noticed that you were doing the work over there. And I do have copies of all your building permits and those inspections. Thank you for bringing them in. We'll make them part of the record.
Absolutely.
And, but I wanted to make note that you did everything pretty much according to the rules and regulations, with the exception of getting a written permission from the liquor board, which is required. And that's why you're here tonight. We do have everything, I believe. Is that right, Judy? We do have everything to proceed. But again, we just wanted to make sure that you understand that if you do anything at all, and this goes for any licensee out there, make any physical changes, there's a very good chance that you are going to be required to contact this board with a letter explaining what you want to do and to what extent, and you may be also required to give us plans and also any other county agencies or departments such as inspections and permits, plumbing, electrical, and so forth. You may be required to get those permits. You've done that in your case, and you're pretty much empty. You haven't utilized any of that floor space, but you're waiting for basically permission from us to proceed. Am I correct in saying that?
That is correct.
Okay, very good.
And all this process, sorry to interrupt you, because the board guided us very well, step by step, what needs to be done, and we followed the process. Thank you for that.
Yes, and thank you. There is a couple things that I do want to point out while we have you in here. It wasn't the reason you were brought in, but it would be a good time to point these out to you because you do have a few things that you need to adjust. And the first thing is the inspectors noticed, and I noticed, your sign out front. And I think I may have mentioned this 3 or 4 years ago, but don't remember. You're showing Village Wine and Spirits on your sign, but yet your license is not Village, it's Wall Chapel.
That's right.
No, I agree, and that's a trading name. Village Wine and Spirits is a registered trading name.
Well,
It's its trading name, but it
That's-
doesn't
that's the
appear
name.
on your license.
Right.
It's got to appear the same.
What you'll have to do, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What you'll have to do is update the trading name to be Village if that's what you want it to be. But you can't have Wall Chapel on a license and Village on your sign outside. And that goes for anybody who has one of these businesses. So whether it is feasible for you economically or whatever the case, you're either going to have to change your sign or change the trade name. But on your license, if you look at the trade name, it's Wall Chapel. And it has to correlate with what the signage is out front. Now, we did send you something in writing, but you may not have received it yet.
All right. Anyway, it's a good time because we are waiting for the new signage. So I'm working with some of the vendors in the area because now it needs to be expanded. So I'm glad you brought it.
Well, good, good. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call our office and speak to either Eddie or Judy, and they'll be able to help you with any questions you may have. But you are getting a written notice, hopefully any day now, if you haven't received it today, stating that you must change one or the other. Okay, and the second thing before I make a motion is looking at your file. I've noticed you've had 3 violations in the last 2 years. That's pretty serious. You're not here on them, so I really don't even need to question you on it. I just want to make sure you understand the seriousness of what could take place if this trend continues. And hopefully you'll have a way of controlling it.
No, I agree with you. And in the last time we appeared here for the last hearing, last violation, we made it pretty clear to all the employees and we changed the process. And we now have a 2-step process as I explained, and I did submitted all the paperwork to the board that time. And that process has been followed very rigorously. And even if I'm doing or if any other, all of our associates are certified. We recently started having a new challenge. I think it's a challenge for all the retailers. DMV, the Motor Vehicle Department, they have issued digital IDs. We are still not accepting digital IDs because we don't know whether that digital ID belongs to that particular customer or not. So that's one thing we are declining customers, and sometimes people put bad reviews, say, hey, it's been issued by the government agencies.
Yeah, and it's a good point, but I'd like to also remind you and everybody else that if anybody comes up to your store and shows you their cell phone and for ID, that's not acceptable in this county yet. It's not acceptable to either the police department, state, county, local authorities, nor is it with us. They have to have the physical Maryland driver's license or a photo ID that's acceptable for now. I can also tell you it's in the works. There's going to be changes, a little FYI for everybody. In the relatively near future, you're going to see a couple programs out there where there's going to be testing done in certain areas. And it is the intention of the Department of Transportation, Motor Vehicle Administration, to come up with, and they already have one, a prototype ID that would be acceptable to you and any licensee out there. But as of right now, there is none. So please keep that in mind. You are justified in denying them their request if they don't have the hard copy ID. Okay? And we will notify everybody when things change. Okay. Anything else that you want to say before I?
No, we good.
You could run it. Yeah.
We good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask you one quick question. Do you have any financial interest in any other liquor establishment in the state of Maryland?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
Okay, very good. I've had a chance to look your plans over and also look over your building permits and your inspections. I'd like to make a motion that we accept your request for the renovations. And at that time, I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous decision. You're granted your renovation. So thank you again for coming in, and appreciate your forthrightfulness and honesty. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, our next case is the Grand Ballroom LLC. Too Blessed to Be Stressed Catering LLC, Natasha Roll, Managing Member, Inspector Scott Harmon. This is a Class D on-sale only beer, wine, liquor, dancing, and Sunday license located at 7489 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061. The license is not restricted. This is for 3 violations. Violation 1, violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.16, illegal conduct regarding Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1201 by Inspector Scott Harmon, dated December 29th, 2023. Number 2, violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.18, alterations regarding Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1201 by Inspector Scott Harmon, dated December 29th, 2023. And finally, number 3, violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 3, Section 3.05, sanitation and safety regarding Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, violation notice number 1201 by Inspector Scott Harmon, dated December 29th, 2023. Anybody wishing to testify for or against may come forward, and please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. You may be seated. Inspector Harmon, if we could start with you with your name and address, please, for the record.
Scott Harmon, 539 Matthews Avenue, Brooklyn Park, Maryland, 21225.
Thank you.
Natasha Road, 322 Wilson Boulevard, Southwest, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you both. Ms. Roll, since you're not represented by counsel, I'm going to just kind of give you the lay of the land on how this proceeding is going to take place. Mr. Harmon's going to provide the board with a statement of facts that he's issued in connection with these 3 separate violations. You'll then have the opportunity to question Mr. Harmon just on his statement of facts. After that, we'll turn it over to the chairman and the commissioners to see if they have any questions regarding Mr. Harmon's statement of facts. After that, we'll let you have the opportunity to present your case to the board, and subsequently we'll see if the board has any questions there. I just want to make sure that we're clear on the lay of the land. So when I ask you if you have any questions for Mr. Harmon, you don't go into a recitation as to mitigation. We'll have an opportunity for that later, okay?
Yes.
Do you have any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right, Mr. Harmon, please provide us with a statement of facts.
On December 29th, I went to the Grand Ballroom to do a follow-up inspection for the manager's agreement. Upon entering, I noticed that there was construction work going on inside. I met with Natasha Roll, the licensee. I asked if they had approval for the alterations. I was told yes for the floors at this time. Some walls were demoed, floor work was being performed, and electrical work needed to be performed. I asked if these changes were reviewed and approved by the liquor board. I was informed they did not know that they had to notify the liquor board. I asked were there permits for this work and was told they were getting ready to submit them. I was shown a sketch drawing of the location of the work. I left it at the establishment, showing the proposed work. I reminded Ms. Roll that these drawings would need to be more detailed when submitted to the board, which needs to be done before the board would approve any alterations. I informed Ms. Roll that I needed to contact my office before continuing with my inspection. After contacting my office, I informed Ms. Roll that I was discontinuing my inspection and would be issuing a citation. I explained the three violations I was issuing and what she needed to do to become compliant.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harmon. Ms. Roll, any questions for Mr. Harmon?
Yes. Who stated that they were going to submit them? Was that myself
Yes,
or was
yes,
that Mr.?
it was you.
No, when you asked about the permit.
You told me you were getting ready to submit your permit for the work.
Okay.
Anything else?
No,
Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Inspector, when you visited the place on December 29th, you were not aware that any construction or demolition had started at that time until you walked in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's my understanding that when you approached Mrs. Roll, you questioned her about the permits and also in reference to a letter from the liquor board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Roll, does that sound,
not about a letter from the liquor board. I was unaware, so I'll go into that
Okay.
when I do that.
we'll touch base with that in a minute.
Okay.
The contractor that was doing the work, is this someone you hired or is it a,
This is the landlord and our contractor.
I'm sorry, say that
He's
again?
the landlord of the building and our contractor who helped us build from the beginning till now, from
Okay.
the existence of the Grand Ballroom.
Did they say anything to you about needing permits? Whether it be,
No, and I have that in my,
okay.
Yep.
Again, just
Yep.
trying to bring it out in the hearing for
Yeah, they
everybody
did.
to be aware of.
we went into, and I wrote it all out in the statement. So
Yeah, and we'll get
Okay.
there in a second. This
Yep.
is just some preliminary
Yeah,
questions.
so-
but I'll turn the floor. We'll turn the floor
Yep.
over to you in just a little bit.
No problem.
Okay, on the original drawing you submitted, you showed some demolition to take place in a three small cubicle or office area in the
Yes.
front, but yet that's not what you did or plan on doing later, is that correct? Or
No, the original construction, or the taking down of the offices were of, no bearing walls. They're office spaces that we had that we were going to get rid of to expand the inside of the ballroom.
Okay, are
Three
they,
offices.
but it was your intention to take them down?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, that's still your intention to
Yes.
remove them? Has that been done yet?
Yes,
Okay. Even though they may not be bearing walls,
correct.
anytime you remove walls or structure, you need either a demolition permit or a building permit that states you have permission to know, just to kind of give you
Understand
a
that
heads
now,
up.
absolutely.
Okay, you're not open for business now at all?
No.
Okay. That's all the questions I have at this point.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
All right. Mr. Harmon, anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Mr. Roll, we'll turn it over to you now. You can go ahead and present your case.
Okay. In December, we discussed an expansion with our landlord/contractor. They were the same company who assisted us in building out the Grand Ballroom. They took care of all of the permits and inspections originally in our original creation of the Grand Ballroom. So they took care of all of that. We took care of creating the floor plans. So with that history, we agreed to the same process for the expansion. I did ask him if a permit was going to be needed. I was told no. You guys, your office knows my history. I will call and ask questions about the processes to make sure that I am doing everything I'm supposed to do and all of my ducks are in a row. This slipped past what I understood. I should have contacted you guys and gotten the proper information from him, from you guys, so that we could be on point. I assumed that he was pulling permits because he pulled permit for us in the beginning. When we found out that he did not pull the permits, I notified the inspector that we will put everything in that needs to go in, and I immediately went into correcting the error that was made. I take full responsibility for not following through and not asking specific questions in regards to that, but it was never my intent to bypass the rule. I can't speak on his intent. I believe the inspector, when he met with me, got my full cooperation. It was not that way with the landlord. So I made sure that I let him know that, yes, this is my project from here going out. I will make sure that all the rules are followed. My intention was never to go around because it would affect my entire brand. This era has truly called a trickle effect down because we're working on another project. So we are behind 3 months in that, and we've lost 15K. So based on, the closures and delays in the process. So currently, our building permit is approved, in place, construction is completed, because we had to complete those things so that the inspector could be able to come out and check everything out. That has not been scheduled as of yet because we need your permission, as well as an updated UNO because our capacity changed. So my thought or knowledge of the process was to advise you once it changed, not that it had to be done in the beginning. So that was my error on that end. I definitely appreciate the time that your office has taken to explain and meet with me so that I can clearly understand what the process is, because I do plan on continuing business within Anne Arundel County and making a name for my brand in this county.
Thank you, Ms. Roll. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Such as the last time you were in, very clear and precise in what you want to let us know, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate your honesty and the fact that you admitted that, you weren't aware of it, and because of that, you proceeded without the obligation of contacting the liquor board. Fire marshal, you're still waiting for?
Yeah, we're ready for our final inspection and life safety. So there's two. There's a building and then the fire marshal. So we're waiting on them to come out to assess the space, and that's would be scheduled next week once we get through today.
Okay, and I understand that this has caused you some inconvenience because you have other matters you want to move ahead with.
You have no idea.
Oh, I do, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you understand there is there's a procedure we have to follow. We can't
Absolutely.
listen to another license until we clear this up.
Absolutely.
Which I'm hoping we can proceed to do tonight. I understand that you felt that the landlord or his representative, for the build-out was going to handle this. Unfortunately, it doesn't release you from that obligation of making sure that happens. But under the circumstances, I could see with everything going on, and I'm sure you were trying to get the renovation done and completed as soon as possible so you can open up for business. I don't have any more questions at this point for you, so.
Commissioner Duffy, questions?
Yes, in reference to your capacity change, what are the capacity right now?
Capacity currently is 250.
And the change?
We don't know what the fire marshal will assign to the space, so we have to wait on his assessment based on the final square footage of the space, but it looks as if to be 350.
You expecting it to be 350?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, we handle a lot of multicultural events, so
Okay.
they're pretty larger.
Anything else, Commissioner Duffy?
that's my only question.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, again, thank you for your testimony and your honesty, and that's much appreciated, especially in this day and age. What I'd like to do is, I'm going to make a motion, and because of both the fact that you admitted to your failure on this part, we are going to find you guilty of all three charges. But I'm going to make a motion to set the fines in this case at $150 per offense. So that's 150 times 3, 450 if I serve correctly. And you're still going to be required to make sure that we have everything we need to proceed before we can move it forward with any other matters. This means that all of your inspections will have to be completed 100% and passed, including your fire and fire safety and health and welfare. Once they're all done, I believe, Judy, then we can go ahead and get you reopened and back to work. But please keep in mind, You cannot do anything in that building until you have such things.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
That's a form of a motion, $150 per offense times 3, with the release of the renovations to go forward. Looking for a second.
Second.
Yeah, I know you're looking at me. All right, with that in mind, all those in favor, please say
Aye.
Aye.
an aye. Okay, Ms. Roll,
All right, thank you.
please be careful in the future. Feel free to give us a call if you have any questions about anything. We'll be glad to help
All
you
right,
out.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Rowland. Good
you.
luck. Our next case is Pfeiffer's Deli and Craft Beer.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. I didn't know where you were. So anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table, remain standing, and raise your right hands. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. And ma'am, to my left, if you could state your name and address for the record, you may be seated.
Jade Beauperlant, 139 Arundel Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122.
Thank you.
Christopher Pfeiffer, 8181 Orchard Point Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122.
Thank you.
Joseph Michael Smith, 913 Hillcrest Way, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
And Kathy Pfeiffer, 8181 Orchard Point Road, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Carter, for the record?
Yes, good evening, Chief Inspector, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Linda Carter. I'm with Carter Law LLC at 11720 Beltsville Drive, Suite 100, Beltsville, Maryland, 20705. Excuse me. It's my pleasure to be before you tonight in connection with Pfeiffer. And with the board's permission, before we actually get to why we're here, I think it's really important that I address the history of Pfeiffer's and the fact that they've been before you a few times. And there is a reason, not an excuse, but a reason, and I want the board to understand a little bit about the family and the history dynamics. So Mrs. Pfeiffer and her now deceased husband and their 4 children, one of whom is also now deceased, started Pfeiffer's back in 2000. And initially, as I know the chair remembers, it was just the marketplace. And it proved to be very successful, and with the passage of time, they got a liquor store and they got a restaurant. And things went, Mrs. Pfeiffer and Mr. and Mrs. Pfeiffer ran the establishment very well and very successfully. And then, unfortunately, Mrs. Pfeiffer's husband got sick. And Mrs. Pfeiffer's attentions were given to her husband, who needed her help in order to continue to survive. Then 2 of the children, the twins, if you will, took over the business. Now, from the beginning, Mr. Smith was the manager. Now, as this board is well aware, manager has a lot of meanings. There are managers that have absolute and total control, which he does now, and then there are managers in name, which mean you get to do the grunt work. And he was the grunt. The brothers and Mrs. Pfeiffer, if I were to ask her these questions, she would elicit this as her own testimony. And I've told her if I say anything wrong, she needs to interrupt me. The twins, if you will, ran the business, but not together. They ran it separately. They each did what they wanted to do without ever consulting the other or without ever telling the manager what was going on. And as the board is aware, there's this beautiful, 12-door cooler, 16-door cooler that cost $80,000 that was put into the now vacant portion of the establishment without any permission from this board. And it has been unused for 2 years. So, unfortunately, one of the twins died, and Mrs. Pfeiffer, after having been before you all too many times in too short a period of time, decided that she needed to take the reins. She really physically didn't feel like she could do it at her age. She trusts her would-be son with a different name. And Stork, as I know him, typically is at the restaurant 80 hours a week. He is petrified that another violation will occur because now he has the control, something he never had. He and I have worked very closely in getting this application before you tonight. He has done everything I have asked him to do and then some. He currently, per the board's instruction, he's got 20 employees that have alcohol awareness certifications. I have with me 12 cards. We'll provide the board with copies tomorrow because I have the originals and I don't want to give you those. And he just had a class at which he had another 8, and we have reason to believe that all 8 have successfully passed. We have submitted plans to the board for the existing premises, if you will, and for the proposed premises. The big changes are the coolers that are now in the vacant space will be moved to the liquor store side of the business. The liquor store footprint, as the chair and I discussed, is not changing. It'll still be that far right unit from the beginning to the bend, and then that 16-door cooler will be part of the liquor store. The space that's currently vacant will have tables and chairs and will become a restaurant and bar. And then the market will still, the little market that's in the front will still be there, and the kitchen sits behind that. And then to the left is a more closed off, if you will, bar and restaurant. And that would be where the entertainment would take place on those occasions that it would take place. And Mr. Smith, who is now a licensee, because the board has approved him as such, wants to do karaoke, trivia, occasionally an acoustic band. And that would probably be limited to occasions such as the Halloween party or the Thanksgiving party. So we have presented to you a booklet. We would ask that this be moved in as licensee's exhibit number 1, and we would be pleased to answer any questions that the board might have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carter. The booklet will be accepted as licensees 1. We'll see what kind of questions the board has. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Carter. I guess I just would like to make sure we have clarification, and that can come from any of the licensees or the manager. I think first I'd like to know what kind of entertainment. You mentioned 1 or 2 items as far as you understand the restrictions of what's included in entertainment. It's not dancing.
We don't want dancing.
And you understand that. You understand that you're obligated to everything that's permissible under entertainment, okay? And you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. The next part of, I guess, my question is in reference to the renovations. I see no problem with what's taken place. It's taken you a long time to do it, and it took you several corrections, and I appreciate the Pfeiffers and you, Mr. Smith, doing what needed to be done in order to do it properly. And hopefully there's a lesson learned there also. If you would have asked at the very beginning, you could have saved yourself a lot of time and money. But with me looking over the plans, I have no questions. You have the existing layout the way it was and partially is now, as well as your proposed layout. You're showing that center area, if I can call it that.
And Mr. Chairman, we do have full-size plans if the board would like to see them rather than the reduced versions that you have.
Well, I think I'll ask the commissioners, are you okay with what you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you.
We have a pretty good idea. There was one clarifying question which I asked you prior to the hearing, and we're good with that. So thank you for getting those plans done the proper way this time. And I really don't see anything from a personal opinion at this point where we have any problems with the renovation, but you understand that no part of your retail space can move into any part of either the bar area or the center area. We'll call it dining area, if you will. You understand that, correct?
Other than what we're stocking for the business. Like, we can still have liquor bottles behind our bar, correct? Because we're gonna have a bar in that area. We just won't have stacks of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
But to make
we're
sure we're
fine.
saying
Yeah.
nothing.
The packaged goods will not be in the restaurant or the
Or
bar
rang up,
area.
and it won't be rang
No.
up over there or
No,
anything like
it
that.
will, the
And I had
packaged
to look
goods will
around to
only
make
be
sure
in
I
what
was
we-
understanding
Yeah,
it.
the
No,
packaged
we're
goods
okay.
will only be in what we call the liquor
Right.
store.
No, we're okay with that, Mr. Smith.
Now, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. So I really don't see a problem from my examination of your plans, both existing and proposed, with that moving forward. The other part is the delivery, and I'm really struggling with this one.
So, and I understand why. I mean, clearly there has been a disconnect. So we actually brought Jade with us tonight. Jade is one of the managers. There are only going to be 2 people who will make any delivery of alcoholic beverage product. Jade and Stork. That's it. No other employee will ever be allowed to make a delivery. And what I have suggested to them, Baltimore County outlines the delivery process very clearly. There's a form that needs to be filled out. So there's an intake form, if you will. I call, I place an order. I am required to either give my full credit card number or the last 4. And I say that because there's an issue with people will give credit card numbers and then claim they didn't make the order after the fact, and it gets reversed, and then you have to fight it. So you'll take the last 4, you'll take the name of the person that places the order and their birth date. They come to my house. If my son, and you guys know my son, he's of age, but if my son comes to the door, they can't make the delivery to him unless he presents a valid ID that shows he's 21 and processes the payment by calling the store and making the order. They're not going to, they can't deliver to somebody who didn't make the order. So if I'm not there to accept delivery, they're going to turn around. And they will document every delivery, so the time it was ordered in the store and the time it is delivered and who made the delivery. And both of them are over the age of 21 and are alcohol awareness certified. And they recognize that as long as the board would grant them the privilege, they have to maintain, well, they'll never be less than 21, but they have to continue to be alcohol awareness certified currently. And I will tell you, Stork is really, I mean, we've butted heads a couple of times, but everything that I've asked him to do, he's done. And he understands that if he's going to change anything in that delivery, for instance, if Chris is going to become involved in the delivery, I want him to let this board know before. And like the other day, he wanted to do something, and I said, no, let's not do it. But if you do decide to do it, we need to talk to the board first. He understands that you guys are not the enemy. We can work with you, but we need to work with you and not after the fact.
And we appreciate that, and we're more than happy to work with you. I've done that in the past, and I plan on, hopefully, our chief and our administration will continue to do that.
And I think there's something that the board should know, because this is telling about how Pfeiffer's has changed, at least in the landlord's perspective. While the boys were there, Pfeiffer's was on a year-to-year lease. That's all the landlord would give them, because the landlord had concerns. Now that Stork is managing the restaurant and the landlord knows that, they now have a 5-year lease. That's telling.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, and thank you, Ms. Carter. Let me express some of our concerns, and I'm sure you're already aware of them. Looking at your previous violations, we're looking at 7 violations in a short amount of time, a relatively short amount of time. One of the biggest concerns of me was the violation that the comptroller's office was involved in, and that was the manufacturing of drinks and taking them across the Bay Bridge into another jurisdiction. We heard that case, and they heard that, the other county, I believe, also heard that case. So it is water under the bridge, if you will.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, I'll say that. But at the same time, it doesn't show what we refer to as credibility when it comes to how you operate. But, Mr. Smith, I know you're playing a new role here, and I know, Chris, if I may call you that, you weren't really very, very active in the company. I know a lot of it was Richard in his role. But I can't express to you enough that whatever we do here tonight, you're under very, very watchful eyes. I mean, I can't express that enough. And with the fact that your record is what it is, I think maybe we can work something out here, and I have something in mind, but I just want to make sure that I ask you the questions that I feel are relevant, and I think I've covered the first round here, so that's all the questions I have at this point.
Okay. Commissioner Duffy, questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Go to round 2 of questions. You have them.
I thought I would have time to think about it,
sorry.
but I guess not. Thank you, guys. No. No, the entertainment, again, just to reiterate, make sure it's clear, don't step outside of the boundaries of what entertainment allows you, because trust me, we will hear about it eventually. Maybe not the first time, but the second or the third. Your inspector is one of our seasoned inspectors. You know him fairly well.
Yep.
And he knows this board and me well enough to know that when I ask him to keep a close eye on everything that takes place there, we're not picking on you. We're just making sure that you're upholding your end of the bargain, if I may. All right, I have no further questions, so.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You.
Well, with that in mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a motion. It's going to be in 3 parts. The very first part, in reference to the entertainment, I'm going to make a motion that we accept and give you the entertainment license. But I'm going to put a caveat or a restriction on that, if I may, and that is we're going to set that at a 1-year probationary period. Okay, 1 year. If everything goes well, and I'll set forth the next part of it in a minute. The renovations are approved as submitted, so there's nothing else you need to do. You can proceed, making sure that you abide by all the county rules and regulations of all the other departments, inspections and permits, health department, fire marshal, so forth. And the delivery part is where I told you I was struggling with. Mr. Smith, I trust as the new active licensee who is general manager and pretty much running the day-to-day operations. If you're going to be delivering, and that means that you would have to, or you plan on being in the store when he's delivering, or?
Yes. Jade will be there. One of them, yeah. He's almost always there.
I know.
He's got a cot in the back. That's not on the floor plans. Maybe we should add it.
So, but your plans are if one of you two are going to be delivering, and it might be smart to have a third party. I don't know, but I'll leave that up to you. But in any case, we, like Baltimore County, we do have a format laid out as to what you must do, how you qualify, and so forth. Make sure you get with the administration, and you're both qualified, and I'm sure you both are. and then we'll put you on that list. Nobody else can be added to that list on your whim. It has to come through the board. Okay? I was originally going to put the delivery on a 6-month probation, but because I had the entertainment on a 1 year, I'm going to extend that to a year also. Again, if everything goes well, you shouldn't have any problems. But you will have to appear back in front of the board 1 year from now to ask that those restrictions be removed. Okay, that's my motion. Looking for a second.
I second all three motions to approve them.
Thank you very much. All right, with that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So be it.
Thank you all very, very much.
Please don't let us down. Thank you.
Thank you and good luck. Our next case is for the South County Deal Moose Lodge 2279. South County Deal Lodge 2279, Loyal Order of Moose, Inc. Bradley Lewis, trustee. Walter Kazorik, treasurer. Timothy Jackson, past governor, post-governor. Inspector John Maloney. This is for a removal of a restriction. It is currently a Class C beer, wine, liquor, dancing, and Sunday license located at 1401 Snug Harbor Road, Shadyside, Maryland, 20764. This license is currently restricted as of 3/25/2008. No dancing or live entertainment until a variance is obtained. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach. Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, gentlemen. You may be seated, and if you could, sir, start by stating your name and address for the record.
Timothy Jackson, 4865 Idlewild Road, Shadyside, Maryland, 20764.
Thank you.
Bradley Lewis, 1011 Cosamato Place, West River, Maryland, 20778.
Thank you.
Walter Kazorik, 1734 Maryland Avenue, Snug Harbor, Shadyside, Maryland.
Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. As Chief Inspector Ford indicated, this is for a removal of a restriction that's currently on your license. This is your opportunity to present your case to the board. You can do so by way of proffering testimony, introducing any exhibits, and then we'll see if the commissioners have any questions. I also understand there are a number of people from the public who are present here to testify or give their 2 cents in support of this request. So we'll have the opportunity to do that as well. But for now, we'll turn it over to you guys, okay?
Okay. Yeah, the South County moves, like I said, we want the restriction lifted if we can. Currently now, when other establishments in the area have a karaoke or a DJ or something like that there, 50% of our members will leave the establishment and go to theirs. So again, that goes into the profits and everything, And the profits, if they're down, our charitable profits are down, our community service is down because we can't donate the money to the community and our charities.
All right, anything else?
That's all I got for now.
All right. Mr. Chairman, questions?
Very well done.
Okay, thank you.
I think you made your point. I think most of us here understand the situation you're in. I do have a question or two, and it may not even be as relevant as some might think, but do you know why this restriction was put on initially? Or do any of you were you any around at the time? Or?
I was around from the get-go, yes.
Okay.
But anyway, when we moved to that building, we were right up the road a half mile, but when we moved to that, there was some opposition about us getting a liquor license there. So we went for a few years without that, and then we reapplied, and of course we were granted a license. Some of the opposition wanted us to donate our building to them, but I don't know why. They wanted us to.
Okay, thank you. If we remove the restriction that would give you permission to have dancing and live entertainment, and that would end up being a dancing, but it comes with the club, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't need to apply for a dancing permit, which we have available to non-club licenses. I don't have any other questions at this point.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? All right. I would just note for the record that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people who have signed the sign-in sheet indicating that they are here in support. It looks like it's a Charles Bennett, an individual whose name I cannot read. There you go. Barbara Funk, Dana Jackson, Tom Jackson, Molly Jackson, Tim Jackson, Brian Jackson, and Justin Jackson, all of which the Jacksons came out in full force tonight. I just wanted the record to reflect that everybody there is in support. Clearly, you have the opportunity to testify, but I think if you want to, we can keep it short and sweet. So thank you all for being here tonight. Yeah, and did anybody sign in, or did anybody forget to sign in who's here in opposition of this request? Fair enough. All right. Thank you all.
Made my job easy. Our job, I'm sorry. With your statement and the fact that you have support here and no opposition here, I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and grant your request to remove the restriction. I believe there's a license change charge.
Well, I'll give you all a call and you can tell me what day I'm supposed to do this and everything. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be able to work it out. Anyway,
Yeah.
my motion is to remove the restriction. But please keep in mind that if things don't work as well as you want and we start getting complaints, we can put the restrictions back in or something even.
I understand that. Yeah.
Okay? I put that in the form of a motion. Looking for a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Have a
Thank you
nice
very much.
day. Lots of luck. I hope
Thank
it
you.
works out for you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck, gentlemen. Our next case is for Bingo World, Arundel Amusements, Inc., Nathan Benefiel, President, Inspector Jacqueline Alsup. This license is not restricted. It's for a change of officer, currently Randy Clemens, President, on behalf of Arundel Amusements, Inc., trading as Bingo World, located at 4901 Belgrove Road, Baltimore, Maryland, 21225. This is a Class CB beer, wine, liquor, and Sunday license. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach. Please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated, and if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Nathan Benefiel, 1300 Bonito Court, Arnold, Maryland, 21012.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Benefield, thanks for being here tonight. You've had the opportunity to see a bunch of these before you. This is your chance to present your case to the board and why the board should accept the change of officer request. Go right ahead. If you have any documents that you would like the board to consider, feel free to bring them up.
All the documents should have been included in the application submitted back in November, but Randy Clemens has been terminated from employment with Bingo World, and I would prefer to assume the role as resident officer.
All right.
I'm sorry, could we repeat that? I didn't catch all of that.
Sure, yeah. I'm sorry, could you just repeat that? The chairman didn't hear everything that you said.
Sorry about that.
right.
So Randy Clemens has been terminated from employment with Bingo World, and to continue the license, I would assume the role as resident officer.
All right, anything else you would like to add?
No, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Mr. Chairman.
You know, I really don't have any questions. I mean, I think I understand what you are trying to do and what you're doing, and I don't have any questions. Perhaps one of the other commissioners may.
Commissioner Duffy?
I have no question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Mr.
Wow.
Benefield, anything you want to add?
Not at this time.
Perfect.
Smart. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and grant the change of officers. I do have a question for you, though, before I do. I apologize. Do you have any interest in any other alcohol license anywhere in the state of Maryland?
No, sir.
None?
None.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I make a motion, we accept the change of officer for Bingo World. Looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous decision. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our next case, which is Harbor Liquors, located...
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. If you could remain standing, please. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Vaishali Patel, 7509 Charing Court, Hanover, Maryland, 21076.
And good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Brian Lyman. I'm here to present a transfer application on behalf of Ms. Patel and her LLC, 8140 Harbor Liquors LLC. This is for a Class A establishment, beer, wine, liquor with tasting privileges and a Sunday license. I believe the application has been submitted and is in order. I would note for the record that the sign was appropriately posted in accordance with the board's rules and regulations to advertise the transfer hearing. My client plans absolutely no changes to the current operation at the establishment. She is a previous licensee before this board. You probably recognize her. She appeared here, unfortunately, for a couple of violations. She was a Class D licensee previously, and I'm sure the chairman will remember some adjustments, let's say, that need to be made in the operations of her prior establishment just outside of Fort Meade. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. Ms. Patel is an experienced operator in the county, does understand the board's rules and regulations. This is a business transaction for her that she is essentially changing locations but remaining in retail alcohol sales. On her application, we've listed the 3 violations that she previously has had before this board in 2015, 2021, and 2023. The last actually was under a different manager, but certainly she regrets being here in front of the board for any violations and will certainly do her best to avoid that in the future. We're happy to answer any questions. This is a long-standing store, as I understand it, up in the northern part of the county, and actually I haven't actually been by it in person, but I've taken the Google tour, and I believe the facility has adequate parking and everything, and it's an existing license run by, I think, perhaps a well-known character in the county, Mr. Kirizoglu, who has appeared before this board as a witness in several other matters. Happy to try to answer any questions, but hopefully this is a routine transfer application for the board to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lyman. Yes, I am very familiar with your client, and what I'd like to do is just make sure that I clarify. I'm going to move over here so we're looking at each other.
Yep.
Here, she can scoot over too, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we just want to make sure you understand. This is somewhat of a new lease on life, if you will. But just because you're starting at a new location doesn't mean that your reputation and your character doesn't follow you, because it normally does, whether we want to believe it or not. But my biggest concern is you understand that this is a new lease on life, if you will. You have a chance, and hopefully you'll make good of it. I don't have any questions other than, do you have any interest in any other liquor establishment?
No.
None?
None.
Okay. And the wine box is a completed issue?
Yeah.
The wine box is now Lucky Liquors, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, that's true. It is, which took a while.
We just heard a case about Chapel or the Village with a similar issue, but it's clearly now Lucky Liquors.
I have nothing to do with it.
Okay, well, I have to admit, I've got almost 18 years with this board, and the Harbor Liquors has been able to maintain a pretty good record overall, especially with the latest and operator, and that's important. And hopefully you can follow suit and keep that going. I have no other questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops? No questions. Mr. Lyman, anything you want to add?
Nothing further.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, no further questions. Everybody appears to be satisfied with what has been heard. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the transfer for Harbor Liquors. Just make sure that all of your paperwork is in and up to date, because they won't release that license until it is, okay?
Sure, thank you.
All right. Sorry, with that, I'd make a motion that we accept it. All in favor? Or did I
We
already
need a
do
second.
that?
We need a second first.
I'm sorry, did I
It's all
forget
right.
it? How about it? You want to do it? You don't want to do it? How about you, Otis? You want to be a second? Okay, thank you.
Second.
All right, thank you. It's getting late, I'm sorry. For all those in favor, please say
Aye.
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 There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Pirelli.
everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Our next case is H-Bar LLC. Carrie L. Cole, authorized member, Inspector Mary Deschamps.
I think we
You
skipped
got the
Mike's.
wrong one.
Oh, I sure did. How could I skip Linda? I am so sorry. So yes, wave reading, thank you very
Yeah.
much. You saved me. Thank you.
Miss Carter's up there in this blazing red outfit going, hey.
How could I forget you?
Had to celebrate Valentine's.
Please
Absolutely.
remain
Got
standing temporarily.
There you go.
And raise your right hand if you would. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Yes. Agnieszka Kundasawara, 2800 White House Road, Riva, Maryland, 21140.
Thank you. And for the record, this is for Mike's Inland at Sunset Restaurant. It is a transfer.
Yes.
Thanks. Good evening again for the
Good
record.
evening.
My name is still Linda Carter, and this time I'm pleased to be before you in connection with Mike's Inlet at Sunset Restaurant. As the board is well aware, the Sunset Restaurant was an institution in Anne Arundel County for just shy of 60 years. Unfortunately, COVID and the aging of the owners led to its closing. And my client was fortunate enough with her boyfriend to be able to get a lease to operate the business that will be known as Mike's Inlet at Sunset Restaurant. At Sunset, rather. I've presented the board with a booklet that we would ask that be marked as applicant's exhibit number 1. It contains the menu. It contains photographs of the exterior and some interior shots, as well as food and the layout. Structurally, absolutely no changes. The Sunset, as you all may remember, had a number of rooms. All of those rooms will still exist. What Agnes and her crew have done, and I say Agnes and her crew because she was actually there working construction all day today, is amazing. It is just, it's the Sunset that was probably there 30 years ago. They've restored the woodwork, they've taken out years of paint and varnish. It really is going to be beautiful once it's finished. We think we're about 30 days away. Of course, I will be honest with you, we met about 25 days ago and they were 30 days away. So, I think the 28th of February is a real push, but there was a management agreement filed with this board, and we will probably request permission to operate under the management agreement until the license can transfer, because we think we're going to be ready to open sometime between March 1st and May 1st, which is not a good time for you guys. We have filed an application on behalf of Agnes. I would proffer to the board that all of the information contained in that application remains true and correct as we appear before the board today. Agnes anticipates that on a daily basis, they will serve somewhere around 200 patrons a day, increasing to maybe between 400 and 500 on weekends. The cost, let me, if I could, by way of background. So Agnes has a very diverse background. She first came to this country when she was 9. She was born in Poland. She came back when she was 16, and she's been here ever since. She's a United States citizen and a registered voter. She owns a home in Piney Orchard, although that's not where she's currently residing. She does reside in Anne Arundel County. She, among other things, has worked in catering events and worked for special events like Special Olympics, where she has bartended and waited tables. She is alcohol awareness certified. For the last 7 years, she's had a real estate license, and she's been pretty successful. In the last 3 months, she's had more than $3 million worth of real estate sales. So she's very good at what she does. She's looking forward to this next chapter of actively being involved in the management and the running of a restaurant. Obviously, the Mike's name is well known to this county, and her boyfriend is Tony, and she and Tony are going to be owners of this business. She's 51%, he's 49%, and in the beginning, this is going to become her full-time job. At some point, once she is comfortable with her staff, she may back off a little bit. We, as typical with my clients, I always review the rules and regulations. And one of the questions that, if I were going to do a question and answer, one of the questions that I would ask her is, you understand that as a licensee, if a violation takes place, even if you're not there, you're responsible. And when we talked about that, she said, really? And I said, absolutely. She said, well, all the more reason for me to be there. She takes this opportunity very, very seriously. This establishment will have approximately 60 employees, all of whom will be at least 18 years of age. They will operate the liquor store as did Sunset. No changes to the footprint of that liquor store whatsoever. She understands that the liquor store employees need to be 21. Her commitment to me was that 80% of their front house would be alcohol awareness certified. And we talked about, I want everybody in the liquor store certified, because there's no reason. The turnover in a liquor store is a lot less than in the restaurant, so there's no reason for them not to be all certified. All managers will be certified, and she'll have, in addition to herself, she'll have a GM and 3 AMs. And she understands that once they're hired, we need to fill out the forms and file the manager forms with this board. Hours of operation. This is going to be a restaurant. 11 in the morning till 10 at night. Anticipated food alcohol ratio, 75-25 food to alcohol. No delivery of alcohol is being requested, and she understands that if at some point they decide they want to do that, they have to come back before this board and ask for that privilege. And Mr. Chairman, I can keep going, or I can turn it over to you for questioning, please.
Well, thank you.
You know, I can talk as long as you want.
Never argue with a woman around Valentine's Day. And I'm not.
Would you tell my husband that, please?
I do have a couple questions for you. One is your packaged good portion of the business is still going to operate as a packaged goods.
Yes.
I think I noticed a little bit of changes taking place inside. Not much of anything.
There's more cosmetical. Yeah.
Are they going to be this? Is it going to be the same hours as the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. And I noticed right now, and of course it's early in the game, I understand, but you don't have a management agreement or anything set up yet?
We haven't hired.
No, but I'm saying,
Yes.
I do highly advise you that, and I know you probably want to be there every day it's open, but of course that never happens out that way. please find yourself somebody that's capable and able, and make sure they're on the management agreement.
Yes.
Our inspectors are out, and we're checking management agreements. We're making sure that the people are identified, and also that they have completed the necessary alcohol awareness training. So in your search for employees, look for yourself for a couple. You can have as many people on your management agreement as you wish. There's no cost to it. It's just a little bit of time. Application has become so much simpler now than it has been. So I definitely would encourage you to do that. Do you have any interest in any other establishment financially that sells or retails, wholesales alcohol?
No.
None in the state of Maryland?
No.
Okay.
Or elsewhere.
Or elsewhere at this.
Or elsewhere, okay, well, that's fine. I've got to step back in the nostalgia a little bit because
know.
this place, the
Yes.
Sunset, I lived 3 blocks from there
Really?
growing
Oh my
up. And my dad took me there for my first legal alcoholic or drink. And there's a story behind it. Some of my fellow people on the liquor board know it. I went in there, my dad took me in there. It was midday. He was a truck driver. He got off early, took me in for my first drink. I knew why I was going in, basically. And he sat at the middle of it. Used to be a big horseshoe bar. In
It's
there.
still there,
It's still, yeah.
and it will still be there. It's got a new top, though.
And the horseshoe on the right, we have 2 bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sat down, my dad, Mr. Frattionio, was running it at the time, and that's the father.
Yes.
And he came over and he knew my dad by name. That tells you a little bit. He says, "Hi, Milt." He says, "What are you doing today?" "Well, you want your regular?" And my dad said, "Yeah." He says, "This is my son Wayne, and he's 21 today, and I'm going to buy him his first drink." So he said, "What are you drinking?" So I said, a beer. And that was set up in front of me. And a few minutes later, Mr. Fratt came back, and he was setting up a tall shot glass, the European shot glasses, in front of everybody at the bar. It wasn't that many. It was maybe 6 or 7 of us at the bar. And my dad said, "What's this?" He says, "Somebody would like to buy your son his second drink."
Oh, wow.
And he says, "Oh, that's nice." And of course, my dad says, "Who is it?" And Mr. Fratt said, "That gentleman over in the corner." That gentleman over in the corner was Robert Mitchum. For those of you that are old enough to know, he was an actor. He had a farm over on the Eastern Shore. He used to fly into, at that time, Friendship Airport. Would take a taxi over to the Sunset, grab a drink or two while he waited for his man to come pick him up and take him over. So there's a lot of nostalgia there.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Wow.
So anyway, let's get back to business.
That's a great story.
Sorry about that.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
that story would go with me for a long, long time. I had an opportunity to go over and thank him, and if anybody remembers him, he had a voice that you would never ever forget. And but anyway, where did I leave off here?
Any more questions?
No, anybody else have a question or anything?
No
Hope
question.
we get to see you again.
I'm still living the area,
I
so,
love that.
yeah, but anyway, any other questions? No questions?
Let me up here.
Take me off the hook here, guys, I started something. Okay, anything else from Linda, or we're okay? All right, well, with that being said, I'm happy to make the motion that we go ahead and accept this transfer, and that's the motion. I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Congratulations.
y'all very much,
so
and
much.
have a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank
You two ladies. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're ready for H-Bar. Thank you very much.
Yes,
So obviously, anybody willing to testify for or against may approach, and if you could remain standing and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And if you could both state your names and addresses for the record.
My name is Carrie Cole. I live at 6931 Halleck Street, District Heights, Maryland, 20747.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Kelly Kylas. I'm an attorney at McNehosie. Here I'm standing in for Bob Kim in support of and presenting the application for a new Class HMR complex license for H Bar, which will be a restaurant and bar located in the Hyatt House BWI Airport Hotel, located at 857 Elkridge Landing Road in Linthicum, Maryland, 21090. This restaurant and bar is still in the build-out phase with an anticipated opening of June of 2024. We're expecting, or H-Bar is expecting to have about 15 to 20 employees. When those employees start working, they will all be alcohol awareness trained and certified. And with the board's permission, I would like to present the testimony of Ms. Carrie Cole, the applicant for this new license.
Go right ahead, Ms. Kylas. Thanks.
Thank you. If I may be seated.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Ms. Cole, by way of background, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
Are you a resident of the state of Maryland?
Yes.
Are you a registered voter?
I am.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of violating the laws governing the sale of alcoholic beverages or for the prevention of gambling in the state of Maryland?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of violating any offenses against the, or have you ever been found guilty of any offenses against the laws of the United States?
No.
Have you ever had a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages revoked?
No.
Have you ever held a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages?
No.
Do you own any other businesses in Anne Arundel County with an alcoholic beverage license?
No.
Turning to H-Bar LLC, what is your position with H-Bar?
I'm a 1% member and an authorized person.
As the authorized person, have you been furnished with a copy of the rules and regulations of this Board of Licensed Commissioners for Anne Arundel County?
Yes, I have.
And you've reviewed those rules and regulations?
Yes.
Do you understand those rules and regulations?
Yes.
And if this application is approved, will you make certain that all employees at H-Bar comply with all of the laws and regulations relating to the license?
Yes.
Testing your knowledge here, what are the permitted hours of operations for a Class HMR complex license?
11, the hours of my business?
No, for the class license, the Class HMR complex license.
Okay, it's 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and then also on Sundays with the special liquor license.
And what will be the hours of operations of H-Bar?
11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday, also on Sunday with the special liquor license.
How old does one have to be to purchase beer, wine, or liquor?
21.
And what age must an employee be to sell beer, wine, or liquor?
21. To sell it as a waiter, 18, but as a bartender, 21.
Very well. What are the acceptable forms of identification?
License, you can have an MVA walker's license, your military ID, or passport, green card.
How long are you required to keep complete records of purchases and sales of food and beer, wine, and liquor?
2 years.
You've reviewed the application that has been filed with this board?
I have.
And do you have any changes to that application?
No.
Do you understand that as a licensee for this license, you have obligations to this board to accept summonses and respond to any inquiry regarding the operation of H-Bar?
Yes.
And do you agree to accept those responsibilities?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Chairman, based on the application that we have provided and the testimony heard today, I present and ask the board to grant the Class HMR complex license for H-Bar LLC.
Any questions, Mr. Chairman?
Trying to think of one. No. No, I have no questions at all.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Ms. Kylas, anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
Perfect. Great. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we accept this, this transfer, I'm sorry, new license. And wish you a lot of luck. But before we vote on it, I do want to stress the importance of the same thing I stressed in the last case, that you find good management, because I'm sure you can't be there every hour, even though you may want to be. And it's important that those people are on a management agreement and they understand their responsibilities. So with that being said, I make a motion, we accept the new license for H-Bar. Looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we be
You're
excused.
welcome. Good night and happy Valentine's Day, ladies.
Congratulations. Our next case is Kanji Ramen and Kung Fu Tea, Maryland Food Group LLC. Kitang Zhang, member, Inspector Christine Cerrone. This is for a new license located at 8155 Ritchie Highway, Suite D and E, Pasadena, Maryland, 21122. It's for a Class H beer, wine, and Sunday license. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach and remain standing. Please raise your right hands. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. If you could, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Kitan Zans, 498 Maybright Lane, Savannah Park.
Lauren Chang, 180 Margate Drive, Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both for being here tonight. We'll turn the floor over to you. You can present your case to the board by way of proffer. If you have any exhibits that you would like the board to consider, please bring them forward, but otherwise the floor is yours, okay?
We just wanted to sell some beer and sake, Japanese beer and sake in our restaurant. We're a new restaurant that just opened in Pasadena. We're in existing space. I think we included the floor plans and drawings with our application.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we see if the commissioners have any questions?
No.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fraley. Kanji Ramen and Kung Fu Tea.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Is curiosity more than anything. Is Kung Fu Tea a brand name of tea, or is that something you label your tea?
It's actually a brand name.
I'm sorry?
It's a brand name.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Yeah. I grew up with Kung Fu, but not that, not that same tea. Okay, I see that you're going for Class H beer and wine, so there was no liquor.
No
And you
liquor.
understand that you cannot serve any liquor at all?
Yes.
Cannot have it on the premises?
We understand.
Correct?
Mhm.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Anything either of you would like to add? No. Nope. Okay. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman?
thank you. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this new license. Looking for a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Lots of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our final case of the evening, I regret to inform you as a diehard Ravens fan, is Primanti Brothers.
Thank you.
Waving, thank you, Mr. Eckengust. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach. Remain standing and please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And sir, if you could begin by stating your name and name and address for the record, please.
Daniel Hardy, 20 Rebel Lane, Keedysville, Maryland, 21756.
William Bowker, 215 White Oak Circle, Lebanon, PA.
Adam Gollum, 301 Timber Court, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And good evening, Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston Muller, McLean, and Reed, here on behalf of the Pittsburgh applicants.
Thank you.
All right, Dan. Go right ahead. Thanks.
If it's okay, I would like to proceed by way of proffer. We are here to obtain a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with entertainment and Sunday sales for a Primanti Brothers to open in Linthicum, Maryland. It's at the site that was formerly Bob Evans. The three gentlemen here with me this evening are all officers of the parent company and authorized persons of the licensed entity, as well as 1% members of the licensed entity. I will tell you that Mr. Golem, sitting to my immediate right, is the Chief Executive Officer for the company. Mr. Bowker in the middle is the Chief Restaurant Officer for the company, and Daniel Hardy to my very far right is the Operations Director for the company. The concept opened its first location in Pittsburgh during the Great Depression. They were opening to serve sandwiches to truck drivers and workers who were working during during the Depression. And they now have 41 locations throughout the country, mainly in Pennsylvania, with a couple in West Virginia and Ohio. And this will be their second one here in the state of Maryland. Their first one is out in Hagerstown. They're known for their sandwiches that are stuffed with fresh cut fries. I'm sure if you just look at the menu, you see the delicious pictures. And they are quite tasty. Seating is for 177 at this location. 34 of those are at the bar. They will have around 100 employees. All of them will undergo alcohol awareness training through an internal program upon hiring. All the managers and bartenders will be certified through a state-approved alcohol awareness training program. Their carding policy is to card anyone who looks under the age of 35. They do not accept vertical IDs, and they actually have scanners on all their POS systems to check IDs once they're carded. On top of that, they belong to the BARS program, which is a secret shopper program. So they get spot checked, and if, God forbid, a server does not even ask for ID when they're going through a spot check, they are terminated immediately. They take their carding very seriously. They plan to open at the beginning of May. We were shooting for April, but I guess it kind of worked out. They got it postponed because of the blackout period. And with that, I turn it over to the board for any questions you might have.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Question for each of all three of you gentlemen. Do you have any any connection with any other license within the state of Maryland that sells alcohol in any way, shape, or form? And who would that be?
That would be for the Permanente Brothers in Hagerstown.
I'm sorry?
The Permanente Brothers location in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, very good. We just wanted to make sure we had that as part of the record, and we appreciate your forthrightfulness in that matter. Linthicum has had some nice restaurants in the area, but this looks like it's going to be an asset to the area, and we like that. We like to see our businesses that encourage growth, and as I'm sure you do too. The exact location of this, could one of you clarify that for me?
It's 99996 Corporate Boulevard in Linthicum. It's the old Bob Evans.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There you go. See, that's it. We
The
should have
old
put
Bob
that
Evans.
on the front page. Okay. Are any of the three of you plan on being an operating manager, or someone's going to be on site, or all three of you are going to participate, or?
No, we have a operating management team already hired for the location.
Okay, that's fine. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No question.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Mr. Eckengast, anything you want to add?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, let's call it a night then. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this new license. Looking for a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Lots of luck to you, and hope it all works out well for you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Have a good night. All right. Any other business here? No? Last time. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you all very much.